It all began 3 months ago back in May. My best friend, the person I had always trusted implicitly, asked me to do something special for her. Photograph her wedding. The wedding was to take place on a cruise, which made it all the more appealing, so I eagerly agreed. I even paid for my partner, Lucy, to join me, thinking we'd have an incredible time. And well, we did. Sort of. The wedding day arrived, and as the sun cast golden rays over the endless ocean, everything seemed perfect, almost idyllic. But then things started to get weird. My partner Lucy began chatting with the groom's brother, Franklin, in a way that made me uncomfortable. Her behavior was subtly flirtatious, just enough to make the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. I noticed, and so did the bride, Mary, who discreetly pointed it out to me. Something felt off, but I tried to brush it aside, convincing myself that I was just overthinking things. Let's give these characters some names. The groom, Jack, his new wife, Mary, the brother, Franklin, and of course, Lucy, my now ex-partner. On one of those long, balmy nights at sea, when Lucy and I were getting ready to call it a night, I could tell she wasn't quite ready to sleep. We'd had a few drinks, and Franklin had been hanging around with us. I was exhausted and announced that I was heading to bed, half expecting her to follow. She didn't. Instead, she stayed up with Franklin. As I lay there, staring at the cabin ceiling, the walls seemed to close in around me. My mind raced with every possible scenario of what they could be doing together. The uncertainty gnawed at me, and I felt a creeping sense of dread. I confided in my best friends, Jack and Mary, pouring out my fears, my insecurities. They comforted me, assuring me that nothing was amiss. We eventually found them, Lucy and Franklin, sitting together, supposedly playing Scrabble. They claimed that after the game they had simply gone to bed. Lucy didn't return to our cabin immediately, though, which only fueled my suspicions. Still, in my desperation, I clung to the belief that I could trust my friends. After all, I was at my most vulnerable, and they were the ones I leaned on for support. As the weeks went by, the nagging feeling in the pit of my stomach wouldn't go away. I tried to rebuild the trust that had been so obliviously shattered, but it was a losing battle. I had this gnawing suspicion that Lucy was still in contact with Franklin, and it was eating me alive. So I did something I'm not proud of. I looked through her phone, and there it was. They were still texting each other, their messages laced with flirtation and at times outright sexual innuendo. My heart sank as I read them. Lucy had denied any ongoing connection with Franklin. But here was the proof. My emotions were a tangled mess, but I knew one thing. This had to stop. I confronted her, demanded that she cease all communication with him. I even sent Franklin a message, albeit one that, in hindsight, was too lenient. He responded briefly before deleting his profile, effectively cutting off all contact. It should have given me some sense of closure, but it didn't. Oh, and there's more. Before the wedding, during the hen night, Lucy had kissed another guy. She had conveniently forgotten to tell me, only admitting it a week later when she realized I might hear about it from someone else. She claimed she couldn't remember what happened, but her confession felt more like damage control than genuine remorse. Fast forward to a week ago, by now my mental health was hanging by a thread, and to top it all off, Lucy was planning to move to London. The distance, both physical and emotional, was wearing me down. But for some reason, I still wanted to believe in her. Trusting her was my last thread of sanity. Lucy decided to join Jack and Mary on their honeymoon, a trip to see Taylor Swift's concert in London. It seemed odd, sure, but not overly concerning. She stayed in the same room with them, spent the days exploring London while they attended the concert. On the surface, it was all pretty harmless, or so I thought. Then, just a few days ago, I had a job down in Devon, and things between Lucy and me were on shaky ground again. She had decided to go back to London to see another concert, Noah Kahan this time, which I couldn't attend because of work. She stayed in a hostel to save money, and when we went out for a meal before she left, she couldn't afford to pay. I covered the bill without a second thought, but it was another small betrayal that stung more than I wanted to admit. While I was in Devon, my mental state deteriorated to an all-time low. I couldn't sleep. My mind was a whirlwind of dark thoughts and crushing anxiety. It got so bad that I found myself outside at 2 a.m., running aimlessly through the darkness, desperate to exhaust myself enough to sleep. I felt so alone, so scared, so utterly overwhelmed that I was on the verge of doing something irreversible. In my desperation, I needed to talk to Lucy. I called her 4 times. No answer. When she finally responded by text, her replies were cold and distant, as if she couldn't be bothered. Eventually, she answered the phone and I discovered she was with Jack and Mary. Feeling utterly rejected, I hung up and called Mary instead. She calmed me down, talked me through my breakdown, and for a brief moment, I felt like I could trust her. Like she genuinely cared about my well-being. The next day, after an exhausting 8-hour drive back home, I went over to Jack and Mary's house to thank them. I brought snacks as a token of my gratitude. Jack was acting strange, distant, and soon left to go to the shop. That's when Mary, the person I thought I could count on, dropped a bombshell that blew my world apart. She told me that while they were in London, there had been a threesome. Lucy, Jack, and Mary. I was stunned into silence, unable to comprehend what she was saying. My brain couldn't process the betrayal. But that wasn't all. Mary then confessed that they had another threesome just a few nights ago, while I was in the midst of my mental breakdown. The pain that ripped through me was unlike anything I'd ever felt before. It felt like my heart had just been torn from my chest and ground into dust. Lucy, my partner of nearly 6 years, had betrayed me in the most unimaginable way, and she had done it with the 2 people I trusted most. I couldn't get the images out of my head, Lucy and Jack together and then Mary with them doing things that I could hardly bear to think about. Sleep became impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, those horrific visions played on an endless loop. The 3 people I loved and trusted more than anyone else in the world had destroyed every ounce of trust I had left. That night, I messaged a close friend and crashed at their place. I didn't sleep a wink, too consumed by the betrayal to find any peace. The next day, I broke down in front of my sister, and since then, I've been bedbound, unable to summon the energy to face the world. I don't know how to move on from this. How do I ever trust anyone again? I feel like I'm drowning in a sea of pain and betrayal with no life raft in sight. I thought I had hit rock bottom when I went to Jack and Mary for comfort, but I was wrong. There was a deeper, darker place waiting for me, and I've fallen into it. The fact that they were all together having a threesome while I was so mentally vulnerable, it's something I'll never be able to forgive. I'm scared of how fast things are going to change with them now that I've cut them off. But the worst part is I still care about Lucy. I miss her, even after everything she's done. It's a twisted, messed up situation, and my mind is a chaotic mess. I just want to feel happy again, to not feel so worthless and betrayed. But I don't know how. I don't know what to do anymore. This man's girlfriend went from love-bumming him to cheating and breaking up with him when he least expected it. You won't want to miss the crazy details of their relationship. Check out this video to find out more.